Hello there, and welcome to Three Spoonies. We're your hosts, Karen, Jo, and Claire. This is episode number 56, and we're talking about cerebral palsy. Join us as we dive in.
Are you thinking about writing a book? Our mentorship offers help every step of the way. Whether you have writer's block, a vague idea, or a complete plan, let us help you to turn your ideas into a finished book to be proud of. As fellow Spoonies, we know how important it is to pace yourself, so our mentorship packages can be tweaked to match your needs. greencatbooks.com. Create your legacy.
Hello, I'm Karen from Pony Pony Pony.
I'm Jo from Bright Cat Business Solutions.
And Claire's travelling today, but when she's back, we are three spoonies navigating our way through life and business with not enough spoons. This week, we are joined by the lovely Vicki. Hello.
Hi, I'm Vicki. I'm from Shropshire. I run Vicki the Admin Fairy, a virtual business, run a virtual assistant business for self-employed and medium businesses. I've had cerebral palsy since birth, and I've never let it stop me.
So I'm just going to pass over to Jo for the questions. Whoosh.
But I said you never let it stop you. For anybody who doesn't know, could you give us an overview of what cerebral palsy is?
Yeah, cerebral palsy is a neurological condition. It's basically brain damage, but it can be in so many variations. It can affect you mentally, physically, or both. Or it can affect your whole body and you can't do anything. I'm on the lower end of the spectrum. It hasn't affected me mentally, although some might say that's debatable. You are a bit of a nut job. But,
Like nut jobs, it's fine.
yeah, it's all part of my mystique, isn't it? And it's mainly affected me physically. My muscles are tight, haven't got much balance. I can walk short spaces with a walking frame, but more often than not, I use my wheelchair to get around from A to B. But cerebral palsy is so varied. My personal trainer, she has cerebral palsy, and yet she can walk, she can do gym work. It's only affecting her very slightly in terms of her arms. She's a bit stiff, but nothing else. And yet I know a little lad who's completely really bad. He's got epilepsy, he's wheelchair bound, he needs 24-hour care. So it's totally varied. And that's the problem. Well, I say problem, but the NHS don't like us. That's the only way I can say it. When you're a child,
So varied, or
yeah, when you're a child, they can't do enough for you. Because they know what to do. They can do the standard operations on your legs, and then if you are more severe, then it's the normal treatment for what you would do for that severity, either epilepsy or the other conditions. But because the likes of me, we've only got it minor, and it's only affecting our muscles, tendons, and mobility. Once you hit 18, well, 16 or 18, they don't want to know. You're gone. You are.
we've done everything, go live your life.
Yeah, it's gone. It's wrong. Because that is the most time when you're an adult that you need the help. I only got where I am because I'm stubborn. I will do it. I will get the help. I will find that help. And I've got where I am because of me. And not believing that I just need to sit in a chair and do nothing. Because that'll make you worse. With cerebral palsy in my form, and a lot of other forms of cerebral palsy, exercise is the key. No matter how small, and exercise, do it. The older you get, your muscles get tighter. But if you maintain that movement, the muscle memory is always there. So when I hit 16, I was discharged from the orthopedic. Get on with it. If you have any problems, contact us. But what's the problem? Because what's the problem to them might not be a problem to me. So I let it go. Then my spine got worse. I got more curvature and all that. Mum said, you're going to have to go and see them and see what they can do for you. I put it off. I got my degree. I thought, right, if I want to go from a degree to employment, I'll get my back sorted. Because that'll be the ideal time. I don't want to be in employment. Got out time off. Don't know how long it'll be. So I thought, right, see the orthopedic consultant. He knew me anyway. So I had the X-ray and all that. He said, right, Vic, I've known you long enough. Because he was there when I was having surgery as a child. He said, I could do an operation, but I don't want to do it. I thought, okay, if you don't want to do it, why is it so bad?
Like it's not ready to be done yet, like with cataract.
No, it was dangerous. It was too severe and it was dangerous. It was fusing the vertebrae in my spine, going through the front and doing it through the ribs, and then going through the back and doing it that way. And he said, because you're so small, it's going to be intense. You're going to have an operation 1 week, then you recover for another 2 weeks, and have the op on the other side. I said, okay, what are the outcomes? He went 50-50. I went, okay. Now I can walk a little bit on my frame, but what do you mean in terms of 50-50? Do you mean I'll never walk again? Or ultimately, I could die on the table? He went, I went,
Risky.
"Nope." I said, what, I said, okay, looking at it another way, if it did work, what would the benefit be? You'd have a straight back on the X-ray. I went, is that it? He said, yeah, it would put your walking back so much. You'd have to learn it all again. I went, forget it. Totally forget it. I said, there's going to be other ways that I can do
You go, this, you don't want this, and explain why. Instead of just either going, yeah, I'll do it, or no, I won't.
it. Was good that he was open. And he let that choice to me. Because it could have been, yeah, I can do this operation for you. And he could have wanted to use me as a guinea pig. But fair play to him, he said, no, I don't want to do it. But he also said, come back to me in a few years if it's still bad. And then there might be something more scientific improvements and something new that could be better for you. I said, yeah, okay. Let's see how it goes. So I went on, did a bit of research. Then I discovered that I looked at my spine, well, my mum did, and we said, it's the muscles. The muscles in my back were pulling it one way, and they were weaker on that side. So I thought, go to the gym. So I started going to the gym. That helped. It gave it more strength, and it helped me in general. So then I discovered a treatment called bone therapy. It's amazing. It basically tells your muscles where they should go and tells your brain what to do.
Is it one of the newfangled gene therapies, or is it like something
No,
different?
it's purely holistic. Bearing in mind, I first went to him in 2000. So we're talking, what, 25 years ago now?
Yeah.
It was lovely. You just sit there and he massages your muscles and releases them. Then leaves you on your own for about 10 minutes. He comes back in the room, does it again, repeats that about 3 times, and you go home. But the change in that time between that appointment and 2 weeks after was amazing. I could feel in between him going out and coming back, my muscles were moving. He said to me, "How was that?" I went, "I've been taken over by aliens." He went, "That means it's working. That means that your muscles are moving the right way." And I was with him for about 20 years
Maybe I would be.
because over that time, the curve had reduced. Now I'm only curved in my hips and pelvis. So because he worked on my shoulders, I'm more upright, more open. And that gives you more confidence. Whereas if I'd have waited with the NHS and done that surgery, I would have been way worse. So then he died and retired, or retired and died. And I then discovered, because I realized there's no other bone therapist in the area. So I thought it's similar to having an osteopath.
It's like it did sound osteopath-ish, or at least adjacent.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. I think it's one stage up. I think they complement each other. They're very similar and they're good. So I saw the osteopath locally, and she's doing very similar to what he's doing, and it's carrying on. My shoulders are still going back. I'm still straightening. Then, best thing was, you're gonna laugh now. All the listeners are gonna laugh. My husband basically was carrying me into my mum and dad's. I was standing up in front of him, and he had me under my arms, and I heard, "I'm gonna fall." And I went, "Who? I'm in front of you. You're much bigger than me. I'm going to die. You're gonna squash me. You're gonna completely squash me." So he turned around and tried to land on his back, but he only got halfway. I landed on my head, and I broke my hip. Long story short, it's the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I highly recommend breaking your hip. If ever you feel stuck in a rut, just fall over and break your hip.
I need an explanation for that one.
I thought you'd like that one. Basically, it put me back in the NHS system. I'd had a walking frame that I'd had for 30 years, since 1987. Same walking frame. But because I was managing,
Design.
and being stubborn, I'll give it a few more months, I'll be alright. I can work round it, it'll be alright. I'm just having a bad day. But weirdly enough, about a month before my accident, I was thinking, what's the point in trying and walking anymore? It's too hard. I can't do this anymore. I may as well just stay in my wheelchair. I've had enough. But then, I don't know if it was some higher power or whatever beyond what we can explain, but Steve fell and broke my hair. And that was just like a control alt and delete. You do it on your computer, give you a restart. It gave me that restart. Went into an A&E, saw the consultant. Yeah, well, didn't see the consultant. Saw the junior doctor. I was high on morphine. In pain, really bad. It must have been, I fell over at 9 a.m. I got on the ward at 11:30 at night.
Did you get painkillers?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I had painkillers in the ambulance and all that, so
It's all right then.
I was fine. So I was high on morphine, wasn't I? But tired and it's still in pain. I don't think the hospitals understand what cerebral palsy is and how the variety of it affects people. Not junior doctors and all that just know standard textbook of it. And he picked the wrong one, didn't he? He came to me and said, I've got 4 options here. Okay, what are they? Well, 2 of them you can't have. I said, and what would they have been? A new hip or half a new hip? He said, you're too young and you're too small. You need to have a new one every couple of months. I said, yeah, fine. I'm happy with that. I said, what are the 2 that could be good? Well, you can either screw it together and that way I'll make it strong. But I don't recommend that. Now, this is the one where he got the Vicki experience. He basically told me to have me in theatre following morning, reset the leg, and then I can stay in bed until the leg is healed. And I said, how long will that be? It could be 6 months-ish. I went, you're having a laugh. You are not telling me that. I said, I need help to get from A to B and go to sit on the toilet and go to the loo, go here, there, and everywhere. I need help to get dressed in the mornings. I went, how would that happen if my leg is still not healing? I said, you're looking at pressure sores, you're looking at muscle wastage, you're looking at energy wasted. You're going to have a worse case of disability on your hands than what you've got now. I've got a little bit of independence. What are you going to take away from me? I said, tell you what. Now, bear in mind, Steve and my dad were standing by me in the bed. They couldn't get a word in. And I said, tell you what, it's 11:30. You go home and go to bed. And in the morning, bring me an orthopedic consultant who knows what we're talking about. Because clearly, you haven't got a bloody clue. And he went away. And in the morning, I had the top orthopedic consultant in the hospital. And she looked me in the eye and said, I had you in theatre this morning, and I'm going to screw you back together.
That's an amazing way of putting it.
Yeah. So that way, because I told him what to do, basically, and the orthopedic surgeon did the right thing for me, I taught him a valuable lesson, which towards the end of my stay in the hospital, 3 weeks, he realised, don't treat everyone as what you see on the paper. They are a
We're
person.
different.
And he even came to me and told me that. He said, you've given me a valuable lesson. I just want to thank you.
Some of them don't.
I thought I'd done my job. But what if I'd have been somebody quiet and taken his word for it
You'd been in bed for 6 months and he'd hated it.
and gone for the easy option? Yeah, it's an easy option, but whereas now I had a community physio when I was discharged. She saw the ability in me and said, you need a better walking frame to hold you and stabilize you more. I said, well, yeah, I do know that. She said, no problem. I'll refer you to the orthopedic in Oswestry, and they're like top of the field in the world. And she said, we'll see what they can do. I was with them, and they've made me a custom-made walking frame, which has changed my life. I can walk further, only in the house and around the garden and all that, but I'd never have done that.
Shall we pause for some brief spoonsful of loveliness? Here's some great things from our sponsors. They don't offer hip breaking services, but there may still be some things of use to you.
Strange Little Obsessions is a new curated event for people who love horror, alternative art, and the things that sit just outside the mainstream. It's not about huge crowds or chaos, but atmosphere, creativity, and genuinely connecting with artists, makers, and performers who live and breathe the strange and the macabre. From independent traders and dark illustrators to immersive experiences and carefully chosen guests, Strange Little Obsessions is where horror, alternative culture, and community come together. You can find out more, follow the journey, and join the obsession at strangelittleobsessions.co.uk. Oh, did I reply to that email? Or did I just think about replying to it? Why is my inbox shouting at me? I need to do the work, but first I need to tidy the admin. But the admin is the thing stopping me doing the work. If that feels familiar, you're not alone. I'm Rachel Chiverton, the Focus Guru, and I support time-poor UK solopreneurs, especially neurodivergent business owners who are spinning plates, juggling ideas, and quietly drowning in admin. I don't try to fix you, I help calm the noise. From inboxes and transcripts to content uploads, systems, and those jobs that sit on your to-do list draining energy by just existing. I step in so your brain can breathe and your business can move forward in a way that actually works for you. If your business feels busy but not clear, you can find me at getfocused.guru or search Rachel Chiverton on LinkedIn.
Welcome back. We hope those spoonsful of lovelies were lovely and spoonful. We are talking cerebral palsy today. Now, Vicky, I have a question because I'm not sure how it all works or did work in the past. Because I know some conditions like cystic fibrosis have come on massively in the last 20 years to the point of they now don't really know what they're doing because they've got people living longer than they've ever had with the condition and they're finding there's new fun and interesting ways. Is cerebral palsy similar, or was it a case of people used to live like long full lives but you just got gradually worse?
No, it's totally different. Well, it's the same as what you were saying, but I don't think they ever realised, because I was a child of the 70s, so operation in the 80s, which I would never say I would never have the operations, because they did help me. But then, once you hit an adult, like I said, they don't know what to do. They haven't viewed adult disability in the same, and cerebral palsy in the same way. They haven't got them structure in place. Because so what my PT and the orthopedics say, they need to treat cerebral palsy people with the physical side of it as people with a stroke, because technically it is the same as a stroke. You just need to reprogram your brain to teach it how to walk and how to move your arms, and the more you do it, the more repetition of those small moves will lead to bigger moves. And I think NHS just need to focus on the adults. But because it's not easy, because if you had 3 people on here now with cerebral palsy, we'd all have different symptoms. We'd all have different problems.
And the NHS don't like that. They like standard cutty cutter
Yeah,
stuff that they can just put you through.
yeah. And you're not going to hit the KPI for them. You're not going to hit a target because you are long term. Because like after I broke my leg, when they referred me to orthopedic, I had 12 weeks physio, and that was brilliant. But they said to me, "We want you for more because you are brilliant. You do what we tell you. You absorb the information, and we can see an improvement. But the system won't have it. They want it to be a quick fix." And basically, I think the NHS need to learn conditions like mine are not going to be a quick fix.
Lifelong for a reason.
Yeah. And we want to do more. And like me, I'm stubborn. So I found ways of maintaining what I want and what I had. But other people might not have the resources or the knowledge to do that. And like, it's all well and good giving you an occupational therapist or support like that. But if you're like me and not in the loop, you don't know where to find that. You know,
I'm posting to all the different services you need, and they
yeah,
don't.
yeah, okay, you may have cerebral palsy on your list, on your notes. It's just a word. The hospitals didn't know how to look after me when I broke my hip. When I went on the ward, they were clueless. They didn't know that I had to have somebody nearby me just in case I couldn't make me drink, or just in case I spilled me drink, or if I wobbled. So for those 3 weeks, my husband had to stay with me 24 hours, sleeping in the chair, because the nurses were either overstaffed and they wouldn't have the time to make sure I had the care and attention that I needed. And I have won a HCA. No offense to HCAs, but when they had to look at something on me, on my legs, and she saw my scars. Obviously, they were operation scars. What are they? And I just thought, A, you are rude, and B, you're sick. I just said, operation scars? The surgery? What were they? And I thought, if that's the level of care I'm dealing with, we're doomed.
Scars are usually pretty obvious that it's because of an operation.
I know it was like a 1980s scar, so it's nothing like a scar now, is it? But, I thought, that's rude. That's a scar. But they didn't even understand. It took the physio. Luckily, the physio was trained in the orthopedic in Gabon. So she was an old-fashioned, she knew what I was. Because she was there when, I don't remember, but apparently she was there when I was. And she said, I know what you need. I said, well, can you do me a favour? I've been in there for like 3 days. Can you turn the Rottweilers off? And she can't hear.
I suppose in a ward setting, they're trained to deal with whatever they're doing on the ward, and unless it's something really common, they won't have any idea what they're
Yeah.
doing with
And,
other conditions.
and they're told, get them in, patch them up, and get them out. But with me, and the physio totally agree with me, the Rottweilers, aka sisters, ward managers, all that, were trying to get me out. But I wasn't physically strong enough. My leg wasn't strong enough to hold my weight. And the physio said I need to work on it for at least 2 more weeks to get it upright and stable. Because if you let it out now, you will not only have her back in, because her husband's fallen over again, but you'll have her husband in the next bed, because his back will have gone. And the moment she said that to him, they pulled back. They put me in a private room, and it was good. But the attitude of them was like, you're taking the mickey. Before she explained what it was, their attitude was disgusting.
Still a lot of people that don't sort of hit their marks that they want to get out, and they go, "Oh, they're just being lazy." It's like, no, there might be something else.
Look at the person. Don't just look at what you need to do.
Yeah, and they don't do that anymore because they don't have time to do that anymore.
Yeah, I can understand why they haven't got time, because they are busy. But
It doesn't help in your care.
not helping you care, and you're gonna be back in. If they'd have let me out too soon, I wouldn't be where I am now. Because they would have got me out too soon, and I think you've got to be stubborn. You've got to stand by your ground and know what you want, and don't believe, oh yes, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a higher power than me. Tell them what you want.
Because you're the expert in your condition,
Yeah.
especially if it's something that's not presenting in a standard way, it's something that's quite variable. You have to be the expert.
Well, I live with my condition when I broke my hair for like 42 years. What knowledge have I got compared to somebody who's been in the job for like 5 years?
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Yeah,
I-
well, it's also they're only seeing you in that moment. They don't know what your normal is.
Yeah. When I was admitted straight away onto a ward, I think it was the first night or second night. Yeah, before they put me in the private ward. I can't think why they put me in a room on my own. Could have been what happened, but I'm going to tell you now. They asked me had I ever had pressure sores. I said no, never had them. To the moment that I feel a bit of a tingle in my bum on my back, I move. So I was in agony. My leg was all bent and twisted. And they turned around and said, 4 HCAs came in the room. My husband was sleeping. Must have been early hours in the morning. And my husband said, all I heard was you screaming, get off me now! Leave me alone! And a load of expletives. And the ward sister was helping somebody across the way. She ran in. What's going on here? I told them, don't touch me until I wake my husband, and he will tell them properly how to move me the right way. I said, but they won't listen to me. I said, they're doing more damage to me than help. She said, right, get out. Told them all to get out. She said, right, tell me what happened. I told her, right, I assure you now, they will never do that again. I will tell them you don't need to be lifted or turned. If you or your husband need help, you will tell us. I went, thank you, because that really hurt me what they did. Yeah.
Don't see the patient as someone who understands what's happening and
No.
knows what they need.
My husband said, I woke up with a start, and all I heard was you screaming your head off, and then 4 HCAs with you in the air. I went, yeah. What? Because I kept saying, don't touch me. Wait. Oh, no, we know what we're doing. I said, you don't know. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, there's also the lack of empathy there. It's like I did hoist training, and the first thing they did with everyone who did hoist training, this company, was they said, you go in the hoist so you understand what it feels like. And everyone was like, yeah, no, it's fine. You do it. And it's like, oh, I see yeah. And once you've gone through the process, you then understand what the patient or, the person is going through, and you explain it to them and you do it carefully and things like that. And it's, that lack of understanding from people. It's one of those things, unless you've experienced it or you're willing to learn, you just won't know.
It was as though they had like every patient on the ward, and they had to check them for pressure sores within a certain time scale. Well, you can't treat them all the same.
They've got a tick box they need to fill.
Yeah, it's like when you're being woken up to have a sleeping.
Yeah.
I was asleep.
I managed it myself.
Or even waking you up for a painkiller. And if I'm asleep, I'm not in pain.
Yeah.
The joys of hospitals.
So yeah, I think the one thing that I can say about people with CP, if you can articulate what you want, do it. Don't be held back.
Fantastic advice.
And really, if you see it as a problem, refocus on it. Make it a challenge, and you will do it.
I was going to say, are there any good sort of advocacy groups or anything for people who maybe aren't as confident as you, or they're not sure what to ask for? Are there any good groups who could give advice?
There's Scope. Scope are really good because I know one man who is the CP side of Scope, and he's similar to me. So you can email Scope, and his name is Richard Luke. He's really good. It's very thin on the ground. Like I say, they're only just realizing now that adulthood needs to be looked at, because all us people who were treated in the 80s are now approaching our 50s and 40s, and we're still alive. We haven't died. So if we're not treated the right way, we're going to have knock-on problems. Touch wood, I haven't got any additional problems, but if they're not, if you don't keep up your physical condition and keep exercising, use it or lose it. Mum always said to me, if I say, oh, I don't want to walk today, use it or lose it. You're doing it. And I think having that philosophy instilled in me from a young age, it's given me the drive.
Keeps you moving, and therefore you can move.
Because there's also a group on Facebook, Cerebral Palsy Adults UK. That's good, but don't take this the wrong way. You know me by now. It feeds negativity.
A lot of patient groups are like that.
And I was on it for a few years, and recently I had to leave it because it was doing my mental health no good, because I was getting frustrated. Poor you. So-and-so would say, I'm losing this, I'm losing that. And me and my PT and a few others would say, well, you need to do basic exercises. Oh, but I can't. It's hard. Yeah, life is hard. Everyone in the world is hard. An able-bodied person doesn't want to walk from A to B half the time because they're tired, but they know they've got to do it. But if you're feeding that negativity, it's not going to help. You're not helping the person.
It's a spiral.
You don't want to be harsh and say, get off your bum and do something. But they need that encouragement to say, look at how this person's done it. She realized that sitting on her bum wasn't for her. And she achieved so much, not naming names and being nasty about it. But I posted some of my achievements on there within my business, and it got refused. And I asked them why it was refused. I said, because I'm trying to show other disabled people what can be achieved rather than being negative about disability. And they turned around and said, it was about your business, not you.
Well, you're not your business, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Ada,
you achieved that. It's not like your business gets up in the night and does things for you and wins you awards. That's you.
Yeah. I'm trying to tell people, don't let the disability define you. You define your disability. If you control your disability, then it won't get in the way. I know sometimes we all feel tired and we can't control when we have days off. But
you can when you can.
yeah.
Well, it's also the peer support as well is so important. And like you
Yeah.
said, sometimes it's not the right vibe, it's not serving you, or sometimes you've outgrown it. So it might be what you needed at one point, but now you've moved on. And it's almost like there should be sort of a progression type thing. It's like,
Yeah.
right, I've done that one now. Let's move on to the intermediate one.
Watch this space. Me and my personal trainer are in the process of setting out a new group for disabled people who want to be positive and don't want to
Yeah.
focus on the negativity. Want to put a positive stance on it. Because if you have a positive attitude, you'll do more. You will thrive. Before I broke my hair, I was in a bit of a slump. I broke my hip. That could have put me in the slump even deeper, but I thought, no, let's turn this into an opportunity rather than turn it into a complete disaster. Oh, I've broken my leg now. Oh, it's the end. Think, no, this is my chance to get back in the NHS and get them to help me the way that I want them to help me.
It's a good. One more question for you before we wrap up. Are there any myths and misconceptions you would love to bust about cerebral palsy?
Loads and loads and loads. Loads. The main one is when they hear cerebral palsy, they think of somebody in a wheelchair who can't talk, can't function, can't drink, can't eat, on tubes, in a wheelchair, with loads of adaptations. Which, yes, that is the high end of CP. And I'm not disputing that. But there are lower levels of CP that have minor things who can do loads. I know one man locally to me with CP, and he's running a courier service, making millions of pounds. He's really good. But he's in a wheelchair. So, what I want to say to people is, yes, you're disabled, but don't let it define you. Because, like, I'm a virtual assistant who happens to be disabled. I'm not a disabled virtual assistant. Because if you say, I'm Karen from Pony Pony, you don't say, I'm disabled, but I'm Karen from Pony Pony. You don't mention the disability. They don't need to know. If you look at my website, you have to dig a bit deeper, unless you know me, and see disability. Don't let it hold you back.
Different. I'm quite honest that I'm disabled, but it's very much I work slightly differently to what you might expect.
Yeah.
But that's the reason for it.
Yeah, that's always got it, but you don't need to make it public initially. You tell your clients, when you have that one meeting with your clients, you say, I'm gonna be a bit different in the way I work, but your work will always be done to your standard. I'm not a conventional, mobile, able-bodied person, but my standard and quality of work will be higher.
Because disabled people will always try and do something because they think they have to have a higher standard, because then that's the only way people will take us seriously. So we do it anyway.
Above and beyond.
Yes.
Quality is always top priority. You've got to do your job right. None of my clients give me any leeway. None of them treat me as disabled. And to be honest, nobody in my life has ever treated me disabled. My parents, I went to an able-bodied school, able-bodied secondary school, able-bodied uni, and then the HMRC. So nobody in my life has ever treated me disabled. And like we said before, it's that mental thing. If in your head you believe you can compete with able-bodied, do it. But if you've got the mentality, I can't, that I've got this, I've got that. Yeah, you've got it, but make it work to your advantage.
Amazing clients, and any time that I've had any issues that I've had to sort of take some time out, they've all been like, "Yeah, go look after you. We'll still be here when we get back."
Yeah, they all say that with me.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, okay.
Tell me off if I don't look after me.
Oh, yes, you do. Yeah. They say to me, don't worry about it. I say, oh, I can do it in a few hours. I just need a bit of a rest. And they'll say to me, leave it. It will be there tomorrow for you. Leave it. Okay. And they say, okay, tomorrow we're giving you double the work. But there you go. But they're joking.
Yeah, that's having a good rapport with your clients is always amazing.
Yeah.
Thing. Right. Thank you, Vicki, for joining us on this episode and teaching us all about cerebral palsy. I'm going to pass over to Karen to wrap us back up, and then we'll have you back next week.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to plug or let us know about?
Like I said before, I'm a virtual assistant. I run Vicki, the admin fairy. I can be found on the internet, and you can email me. So if anybody wants help with an admin, I'm here to help. I can do it. And disabled entrepreneurs, anybody really. If anybody just wants to chat about helping to be more positive within a disability, I'm happy to have a chat about that as well. Because really it's important to have the right mindset within your disability to get better and be a better person.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to listeners, viewers, in-betweeners and others for joining us for 3 Spoonies on Cerebral Palsy. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, whatever else is on your platform for our weekly podcast. You can also leave us a lovely review. You can buy us a coffee if you like what we do. All the links, as ever, will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next week for community questions. Have a great week and keep track of your spoons.